Every single time I keep saying, I am so glad I am done talking about the Cleveland Browns. I'm so glad I'm able to focus on the Cavaliers, on a good team that actually brings some positivity and happiness to my days. The Cleveland Browns have to keep coming back and just making everything worse. So, literally, not even 15, 20 minutes ago, before I started recording, Adam Schefter broke the news to the NFL world, and Deshaun Watson has retorn his Achilles. Now, we learned from Andrew Berry, I made a video a couple days back, that Deshaun Watson suffered a setback in terms of his rehab from his Achilles injury that he suffered against the Bengals in October. He ruptured his Achilles in his right foot last October, and we learned that he had a setback, according to Andrew Berry, but he didn't tell us in typical Andrew Berry fashion, trying to keep it on the low, that we don't know how severe the setback was. We don't know, did he re-rupture his Achilles again? Was it only a minimal, thing that happened that wasn't going to hinder his availability for the 2025 season? Well, now we just learned from Adam Schefter that he has retorn his Achilles. He got his second surgery, and now he is probably not going to play in 2025. He probably wasn't even going to play in 2025 to begin with, but he is officially done. Yeah, I mean, this is just insane. I'm going to read what the Browns put out here. They put out a statement on Twitter. Yesterday, Deshaun Watson underwent a second surgery to repair his right Achilles tendon rupture. And just before we get further, this was on their X Twitter site. They probably posted it everywhere else on social media. You guys can read it for yourself. But Watson initially tore the tendon during the Browns' Week 7 game against the Cincinnati Bengals on October 20th. His first surgery was performed on October 25th. Earlier this week, when Watson reported to the Cross Country Mortgage campus for his exit physical as part of the Browns' season-ending process, he complained of discomfort after rolling his ankle in Miami. MRI results demonstrated a re-rupture to his Achilles tendon. Dr. Bob Anderson, a foot and ankle specialist in Charlotte, North Carolina, performed both surgeries. Watson's recovery time and return to play status is uncertain, and he will likely miss significant time during the 2025 season. Again, Browns fans didn't have hope that Deshaun Watson was going to play. I shouldn't say we didn't have hope. We didn't want him to play in the 2025 season, right? But to learn that he re-ruptured his Achilles, I mean, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Mind you, Deshaun Watson, since the Browns traded 3 first-round picks for him and pick swaps in later rounds, Deshaun Watson, out of a total of 3 seasons, has only played 17 games. He's played a full season of football accumulated over 3 years for the Cleveland Browns as the starting quarterback. This trade is going to go down as the worst trade in NFL history, maybe even in professional sports. I don't know about soccer. I don't know if there's any other transfers or sold players in soccer. I'm sure there's a lot of other players. But for American sports, this probably is the worst. This is probably the worst. Probably since the Ricky Williams trade, the Herschel Walker trade. This eclipses that. Because at least during the Herschel Walker stuff, it led to 3 Super Bowls for the Cowboys. It led to Super Bowls for the Cowboys. I mean, with the fully guaranteed money, the $230 million fully guaranteed, the cap hit that is going to be put on the Cleveland Browns, that has been put on the Cleveland Browns, the draft capital that has been spent for Deshaun Watson that has turned into really significant players like I think Will Anderson was part of that, the collective draft picks that the Browns gave up to Houston in order to get Deshaun Watson. But when you look at everything that has culminated in Deshaun Watson's injury, suspension, horrible play on the field, this is the worst trade in NFL history. This is by far the worst trade in NFL history. And again, it just keeps getting worse for the Cleveland Browns because this was the one year you probably did not want to suck. This is the one year you did not want to suck. The quarterback competition or the quarterback room in this draft is terrible. Cam Ward is the only quarterback I would even consider drafting at the second pick. Even then, I still think that's too much of a reach. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse. Somehow, some way, it keeps getting worse for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what else the Browns can do. I mean, you have the free agency class is also horrible. I mean, you want to go with Aaron Rodgers, who also suffered an Achilles tear a year and a half ago. He's 41 years old. You want to do that? Do you want to go after Kirk Cousins? Even though there's reports that Atlanta doesn't want to give Kirk Cousins up and they'd rather have him as the backup to Michael Penix, who also ruptured his Achilles, by the way, Kirk Cousins. Do you want to have him out there, even though he looked washed last year? I mean, this is the point where you have the Cleveland Browns. We're back in the doldrums of which scrapyard quarterback do you want to take for like a 3-win season or a 4-win season. So I'm curious to see what Myles Garrett's going to do. If I'm Myles, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. I am asking for a trade. I would not blame him. He deserves to win. He doesn't deserve to waste away like Joe Thomas did. We don't deserve to, do that to another Hall of Fame type player. It's just the Cleveland Browns somehow find a way to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. And before, there's going to be people in the comments that say, well, this is why we never should have moved on from Baker. Baker Mayfield was never going to be the quarterback he is today in Cleveland. It wasn't going to happen here. Okay, he needed to go to Carolina. He needed to go to LA to get his ass kicked, to learn that he's not as good as he thought he was, to become a quarterback that is a very good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite. He's a very good quarterback. But he needed to go through those growing pains in Carolina and in LA in order to become the quarterback that he is today in Tampa. Okay, so before, there's going to be people in the comment section saying this is why we never should have moved on from Baker. Baker was never going to be as good as he is now in Cleveland. It was never going to happen, and it's not because of Kevin Stefanski. It's not because of anyone else. Baker needed to go through maturity, personal growth in order to become the quarterback that he is today. All right. So before I'm going to see comments like that. You're going to see comments like that on this channel. You're going to see comments like that under Quincy Carrier, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You're going to see that everywhere else that you hear about the Browns. Talking about Deshaun Watson, everything like that. It was never going to be the same. We weren't going to get the Baker Mayfield of the day here in Cleveland. It was never going to happen, all right? But, man, it keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse. So now what do you do with your Cleveland Browns? Well, fortunately, like I said in my previous video about when we learned Deshaun Watson had a setback, we have $44 million of insurance of his salary, so that will go back to the cap. There's a awesome guy on Twitter. He's usually on some of the other Cleveland Browns channels. I think Quincy Carrier has him on sometimes, maybe even the Orange and Brown Report. But Jack Duffin, he does a terrific job trying to compile salary cap stuff, and he knows a lot about the salary cap. I implore you guys to go check him out. He knows a lot more about this stuff than I do or any other Browns fan. So go check him out. He'll have some stuff about the salary cap and what this means for the Cleveland Browns with the $44 million. If it goes into the cap, what the Browns can do with the money, what it means for the Browns going forward. But I think this just officially ends the era of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. This is the fitting end to the Deshaun Watson era as a Cleveland Brown. And you know what? Personally, I think if I'm Deshaun Watson, honestly, I would think about retirement. Honestly, I mean, you got 2 ruptured Achilles. You have one of the most 1 in a million injuries on your shoulder, your glenoid, the glenoid fracture. You have no other NFL player, no other NFL quarterback has ever had that injury except for Deshaun Watson. You have that. He's torn his ACL multiple times. I mean, this guy, honestly, at some point, just retire, man. I mean, you're blackballed from the rest of the league. I don't know what other team would hire you or trade for you with one your contract, to the all the off the field allegations against you. I honestly, for if I was Deshaun Watson, I would just hang it up personally. But yeah, I mean, this the Browns are in a pickle. The Browns are in a pickle, and now, I mean, you're gonna have to go after guys like Jacoby Brissett. You could probably try and see if you can pry Justin Fields away from Pittsburgh. Although I don't know why in God's name, if you're Justin Fields, why would you want to leave Pittsburgh? I mean, yeah, you probably would be able to start for the Browns, but why? Why would you do that? Well, you could just stay in Pittsburgh and maybe be the guy there with Mike Tomlin in a culture that has sustained a winning season for the last 20 years. You could try and get Justin Fields out there. You can, get Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who else is out there, but I mean, Kyle Trask from Tampa Bay. I mean, that's where we're at. That's where we're at, guys. Yeah, we're back to being the Browns. We're back to being the Browns, everybody. I hope you guys were happy with the 2 playoff appearances and the 1 playoff win, because that's not going to happen anytime soon. So hopefully you guys we're happy with that. Hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But with history being what it is with Andrew Berry and Stefanski, I have no idea. Who knows? For some reason, Stefanski, every year that he has a horrible year, the next year he goes like 11-6. I don't know why, but it's always 1 year good, 1 year bad. Maybe it's 1 or 2 years bad this time. I don't know. Or maybe he goes 1 year good and he goes 10-7. We get Kirk Cousins. We go 10-7 or 11-6. And Kirk Cousins turns into like 2018 Kirk Cousins again. He throws like 35 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I don't know. But I mean, we're back to being the Browns, guys. We're back. Let's give it up. Thank you to Jimmy Haslam, Paul DePodesta, Kevin Stefanski, Jimmy Haslam. Thank you guys so much. You guys have done a terrific job. Round of applause. Cheers to you guys. We're back to being the Browns. Let's go, everybody. It's a joke. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you guys hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. Subscribe if you are new. If you haven't subscribed yet, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Or if you have subscribed, you know anyone who hasn't subscribed to this channel yet and you think they'd like this type of content, tell them to subscribe to this channel. Once again, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you guys do that. Also, like the video, helps us out in the algorithm. And yeah, I will see you guys all in another video. Take care.